Gimmick forms are fun. With Mega Evolutions coming back to Pokemon Legends ZA, I thought I would share some gimmick forms of my own for my Fakemon region, Kelot. The gimmick is called the Fabled Mist. Upon activation, every Pokemon currently out on the field, and from then on, would become as powerful as a legendary Pokemon. If you want more details, I recommend checking out the video where I explain it. Some Pokemon will receive new forms based on real-world mythology, such as Talonflame here. I got JJ Mons for this art as well as for the next 5 Pokemon. The original Talonflame was based on a variety of birds, such as the peregrine falcon, but its fire typing and general fiery appearance are likely based on the Firebird of Slavic mythology. Yes, Kalos was based on France, but a lot of the design philosophy behind the decks drew from other European mythologies. The legends were Norse for crying out loud. But yes, the Fabled Form's design leans into the Firebird's appearance, giving it a fire crest and an overall golden body to more closely resemble the Firebird. These forms don't just lean into pre-existing mythological bases that the Pokemon already had, but can transform into something stranger. Just like fellow Kalos Pokemon, Dragalge. Its Fabled form is based on a Kirin, a chimera creature from Chinese, Korean, and Japanese mythology. It has hooves and is kind of a dragon. Sometimes it's depicted as a unicorn, or with antlers, or even with vibrant colours. Usually yellow, but green is close enough, I think. You can also see the horn, antler, and hoof illusions in the design. Dragon made sense to keep, and I saw no reason to change poison. So why Dragalge? I felt that it was a unique interpretation. You may wonder why I didn't use Farigiraf, as, in Japan, giraffes are called Kirin. It's because I felt like giving designs to Pokemon that didn't receive much love. This was designed in August 2024, long before we knew about Mega Dragalge. But I, as well as members of my Discord server, linked to that in the description below, thought it was unique enough. But, to honour this linguistic link, the artist and I added a giraffe pattern to the design. And you should add me to your subscription list by subscribing to this channel. Why not add a like and comment on this video as well? Not all of these will be super serious. Klefki here is a Keyblade. You know, Kingdom Hearts? I thought it would be fun because no one thinks about Klefki as much as they should in my opinion. The reasoning I have is that, love them or hate them, Disney has been instrumental to how folklore, mythology, and fairy tales have been told for the better part of a century now. I feel like referencing one of their IP, especially one entrenched in the world of gaming, was the right way to pay homage to their influence. And yes, I do understand they are a corporation trying to become a monopoly and have a history of silencing progressive voices for various reasons, especially recently. I do not endorse this. Since we've been talking about keys and capitalism, why don't you unlock some rewards by supporting me on Patreon or becoming a YouTube member? You get rewards such as seeing the next Kelot video early, and seeing progress on the region's designs. Links to those below. Let's go over to the land of the free. Well, the free market at least, but like the Pokemon version. Unova. Yeah. Since Unova had many themes of different cultures, due to New York City and the USA more broadly being a diverse melting pot of different cultures, I feel it makes sense that Scolipede here not only has inspiration based on mythology from multiple countries, but also references a Pokemon from another region, Centiskorch from Galar, which previously received form treatment with a G-Max form. Fabled Scolipede is fire poison type due to this, as it is based on what Centiskorch was based on, that being the Omukade, a giant man-eating centipede yokai, which is weak to human saliva, hence the fire type. This large scale fits Scolipede immensely, but also made me want to softly reference the Longma, which is a horse with draconic scales from Chinese mythology, but instead, we made it so that the bug exoskeleton is decorated with flames. However, the new ability to breathe fire and the antennae and tails resembling horns are my way of showing this reference. I'd also give it plenty of dragon type moves and the ability Dragon's Maw, just to double down this reference. To clarify how it could get new moves, each Pokemon that has a Fabled form also has a corresponding item called a story, so in this case a Scolipede story, which can be used by a Venipede, Whirlipede, or Scolipede. Using this item causes 3 things to happen. 1, it changes the Pokemon's appearance upon the activation of the Fabled Mist. 2, some of these new forms do change type. And 3, it permanently gives the Pokemon a new learn set, i.e. level up moveset and what TMs it can learn. Meaning, if 2 Pokemon of the same species had a battle, and one was read a story, they would have 2 completely different level up movesets, regardless of if Fabled Mist is activated or not. Sticking on the Asia theme but moving westward, we have a simple one, Musharna. also gaining the fire type. The incense inspiration this mon has reminded me of the traditional mist seen in common depictions of genies or jinn, which are found in Islamic and Arabic cultures. So some of the incense makes a handle reminiscent of a genie lamp, but some of it also transitions into a jinn, while Musharna is still sleeping. The jinn is the one in control now, hence why it has the eye motif that all fabled forms have while Musharna does not. The reason it is psychic fire is because Musharna was already a psychic type, but also the jinn are magical supernatural beings, but this is no mere jinn but an ifrit, a kind of demon in Islamic culture, that is sometimes depicted as being among the jinn, or even a kind of jinn. They are formed out of smoke and fire, and would you look at that coming out of Musharna's head. An easy parallel to make that also transforms this regular mon into something with a radically different shape and a legendary scope. Kinda like the last Unova mon I'll talk about, Gigalith. I'm getting major Terrakion vibes here and I love it. While they share the rock type, I decided to make Fabled Gigalith part fairy, for similar reasons to Carbink, as they are both inspired by carbuncles, a folklore creature from the South American continent, primarily in Paraguay and the mining communities of Chile, the latter of which I based Fabled Gigalith on. It is a mammalian fairy creature, which I wanted to reference by giving Gigalith a more animalistic body. Jay made it more rhinoceros-like, as opposed to like a cat or dog or some other small mammal in South America. Although carbuncles are meant to be small, fabled forms need to look like legendaries. Carbuncles are said to have a mirror that looks like a hot coal on its head. What colour is coal when it's hot? Red, like the stones on Gigalith's body. I leaned into this by having the eye thing on all other fabled forms come out of the stones for this reason, as well as I felt it would be interesting considering Gigalith doesn't really have eyes. Now we're done with Unova, let's talk about mon from the other region Pokemon fans are desperate to revisit, Johto. I got Kai Fake Monzar to do these three. We've not really discussed African mythology yet, so how about Ariados to reference Anansi, the West African trickster deity whose name translates to spider, coming from the Akan religion. The scrolls on Fabled Ariados reference the fact that Anansi is associated with stories, even tricking other gods in order to spread wisdom. The new bug ground typing references Anansi's mother, Asase Ya, the Akan earth goddess. Pretty simple references all around here. Another simple one is Smeargle's fabled form, based on Amaterasu, goddess of the sun in Japanese mythology. She is also part of the Shinto pantheon. Admittedly, a lot of this design took inspiration from her adaptation in the Capcom game Okami. She was depicted as a white wolf, who could alter the world around her with her brush-like tail. Smeargle is another canine with a brush-like tail, so I felt like it was the perfect mix. The normal fire typing is a reference to the sun. I also gave Fabled Smeargle a mirror on its forehead to reference the mirror that Amaterasu is associated with in mythology, used to lure her out of a cave and was eventually given to her grandson. The last of the Johtomon that will receive a fabled form is Magcargo, which is now Dragon Rock, with cooled magma as its scales. It is based loosely on the Cherufe, a humanoid creature made from volcanic rock hailing from the indigenous Mapuche people of central Chile. Some descriptions depict it as comet-like, some as dragon-like, hence the new dragon typing, but usually humanoid to some degree, hence the new stubby arms Fabled Magcargo has. They live in volcanoes and cause eruptions and earthquakes. Nothing much more to say on this one. Time to discuss a very connected region to Johto, Sinnoh. I commissioned an artist to stray for these. Kricketune fabled form is based on the Norse Fossagrim. It is a water troll that plays music while it sits on a rock in a river, typically using the fiddle. Kricketune is already somewhat based on stringed instruments, so if we lean into that and incorporate river elements, perfect! Also, some depictions of the Fossagrim show it as green, so Fabled Kricketune's shiny is also green. There's also other myths to do with musical bugs, like the Greek myth of a cicada helping someone to play a kithara to win a competition. Another form of the water type added is the steel water type Fabled Bronzong. This one is simply based on the Aztec deity Tlaloc, who was a god of rain. Bronzong is based on a dotaku, a bronze Japanese bell used to pray for a good harvest, much like the Aztecs worshipping Tlaloc. Funnily enough, Bronzong is also cyan, like a lot of depictions of Tlaloc, so we leaned into the Aztec aesthetic, gave it a face more reminiscent of Tlaloc, gave it a few raindrops, and now Bronzong is a storm god. But how about Hippowdon becoming a god of violence? The ground ghost fabled Hippowdon is only not dark type due to the type balancing, but a god of violence in a mythology with this detailed of an afterlife makes sense to be a ghost type. I'm giving it Malice, my new dark type equivalent to Steelworker, to offset this. Heh, off Set? Set, the god of violence in question, was also the god of sand and the desert, so Hippowdon makes sense. But trying to make Hippowdon look like the nondescript animal Set is depicted as wasn't easy. However, the ears and tail make sense, as well as making its skin dark, much like female Hippowdon. The shiny will be based on male Hippowdon shiny. A few jades were added to the design as it complemented the black and red, as well as referencing other depictions of Set in pop culture. And plus, there are many stories of Set depicting him as being related to, or a rival of, other gods to do with the afterlife. Overall, the ancient Egyptian vibes work well for Fabled Hippowdon. Let's end off with the region that keeps getting nostalgia bait, Kanto. I got trainer mats to do these last 3. I already made 4 Fabled forms for Kantomon, but it wouldn't be a Pokemon region if I just did 4. I'll just say I did 3 mon from each past region, plus those 4. So let's see what 3 mon would be cool. Golduck gets left behind a lot. Psyduck is very popular and gets lots of attention in Pokemon media. So let's turn its evolution into a Kappa, a duck turtle yokai creature. They live in rivers, much like Psyduck. Instead of the dish on this Kappa's head, the bindi-like red dot on Golduck's head grows to be a giant red crystal, signifying the increase in its psychic ability. Oh yeah, it's actually water psychic this time. This is because not only will it provide some wish fulfillment, but also the Kappa is a magical creature who wishes to be respected as a god. Psychic isn't strictly necessary as a type, but fits extremely well here. However, Psychic was strictly necessary to keep for Fabled Hypno. There are stories of how Hypno kidnap children. That's dark. So I decided to double down and make a Psychic Dark type form of Hypno, based on the Pied Piper of Hamelin, a German fairy tale about a man with a musically magic pipe who gets rid of the town's vermin infestation. However, the town never paid him for his service, so instead of going on strike, our stripy bard friend just used his magic pipe to hypnotize and lead all of the children of Hamelin away, just as he did the rats. By the way, the term pied refers to his stripy attire. Hypno inherits these stripes by evoking the clothes in general and showing its dark typing, which reflects the Piper's kidnapping personality. Also, Hypno's pendulum becomes a pipe for it to use. Don't leave yourself alone with a Hypno in some Fabled Mist. To end on a lighter note, how about a goofy form? Here's Fabled Ditto! I get why Ditto gets missed in the form department, since it can become any Pokemon. That's Ditto's whole thing. But I liked the idea of referencing the fan theory that Ditto is a failed clone of Mew. Since Mew is literally a mythical Pokemon, and Fabled forms are based on myths among other things, this was too good to pass up. It is normal Psychic, as you probably guessed. I wanted its appearance to more closely resemble Red and Green Mew, as opposed to its cuter redesign, because it's a rarer design and looks more freaky. A failed clone of Mew could look like that. Ditto would also learn new normal and psychic moves to make use of this new form. And that's a whole bunch of Fabled forms. Like and comment if you want to see a part 2, and let me know which one was your favourite. Make sure to check out the other videos in this series. See you next time!